Hey everyone, Matt here. So what happened today was I was doing an inspection on the Steve hive, and near the end there I was noticing that there was a lot of robbing and bees getting all frenzy in that. So I closed it up as fast as I could, and then I did reduce the entrance, but it seems that it started a frenzy here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to totally close that hive up, and then the other hives I'm going to reduce all of their entrances to as small as possible, or put some 1/8 inch hardware cloth over top of their entrances if they don't have a little entrance reducing disc like this one. So I'm just going to close this up and then put a little screen over the top here, and then close all these other ones up, and hopefully that stops it or slows it down. So it's been about an hour since I noticed the robbing frenzy, and I've closed the Steve hive totally up. I've reduced these three entrances here, totally closed off the top entrances on those ones, on those hives, and closed these two back entrances and put a robbing screen on the two front entrances, and then on the Layens hive I put their robbing screens in place. So we'll just have to monitor this, I guess, and I guess if they don't stop on their own, then the only thing I can really do is close them all up and wait until after dark and open them up. So it's been about another hour, and it looks like there's not as many bees robbing, but I think it might be just because I've shut down all the entrances that maybe they're having congestion problems on their own hives, but seems to be calming down a little bit. But also it seems like we're getting some weather coming in. There's some what look like rain clouds, and it's starting to get really windy, so maybe that'll work out in our advantage and get them to all go back into their hives, hopefully. So it's been about another hour, and there's still a little bit of commotion here, but not as much as there used to be, so it is calming down a bit. You can see that there's no robbers at the seams where they could smell the scent coming out from inside the hive. They're just a little congestion at the bottom entrance and a little at the top. I do think that majority of those bees are probably the foragers that live there returning, but I'm still going to wait till just before dark before cracking that open a little bit, the entrance there, to let them in, just to make sure that the robbers have given up. But you can see that the other hives, doesn't seem to be any fighting there, so at least the robbing didn't transfer over to another hive. There's just a little congestion because I did reduce the size of the entrance there, but so that's good. So I think we just gotta wait for a little bit more, and it does seem to be overcast now, and the temperature is going down a bit, so that's helping. So it's been another hour, and it's really calmed down a lot. The weather is starting to get a little bit colder, and the wind's picking up, like there's going to be a storm. So a lot of the other foragers seem to be all headed back in. Not so many coming out anymore. So I think pretty soon, I'll still wait for another half an hour, another 45, and then I'll open this up. But I'm pretty certain that all those ones are just the actual foragers that live there. So it's about a half an hour before it gets dark here, and it actually started spitting a little bit. So I think majority of the bees have all went back to their hives here. So I'm just gonna open this up just a little bit, about a bee width, and then let them get back to their hive. You can see there's not very many of them left here, so obviously a lot of those bees that were there were bees from other hives, and these ones coming out here might still be bees from the hive, but I'll leave it with just about a ½ inch open there like that tomorrow morning, and then I'll just monitor them to make sure that they're not still getting robbed out. So it's 7:30 in the morning, and last night it got down to 6 degrees Celsius, and it rained a bit, so I'm sure these bees up here probably didn't have that good of a night. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to leave that top screen on there. I'm going to reduce this entrance down, make sure it's only 1 bee width, and then I'll monitor it through the day to make sure that they're not getting robbed out still. These other hives are just starting to come out and start their foraging here. I'm going to leave them slightly reduced still. I am going to take the screens off the top entrances off, and then we'll just monitor it today. Let's look at all that wax debris. That's definitely one sign of robbing out in front of a hive, is all the wax that the robbers tear out and drag out of the hive there. There's some hornets here that are showing up. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, so you can see just some of the wax debris. Some dead bees here. And I'll just kind of close that off just so it's just 1 bee width. About like that. And then we'll just monitor it today. So I've only seen 2 bees come out of there, and they were both caretaker bees carrying dead bees. So I think all these guys here are robbers. So I'm gonna just close them up for the day here. It's still, I think, only 8 degrees Celsius, but I'll leave it closed till later on today. Maybe it's a little bit warmer so that the bees in the hive here can get moving around in that instead of in their cluster still, because it's too cold. So the temperature's up to about 16 degrees Celsius, and obviously you can tell that the robbing frenzy's not over yet. So I'm going to keep this hive closed for today. It's not supposed to get higher than 16 today, and it is overcast, so I'm sure they'll be fine in there. They got lots of resources. But you can see the hive next door doesn't seem to be, fighting, or they might be bumping a little bit, but so I don't think it's spreading. So I'll just check in on them a little bit later. So it started raining this afternoon here, and all the robber bees went home. So I'm gonna open them up, and then so they can get some more fresh air. Then maybe clean out some of this gunk here. And I'll put I got a little tray of water or whatever, just in case. Once it stops raining, I'll close them back up. I'll just monitor it, but it's supposed to rain for the rest of the day. So if they want to go out and forage, they can. Although I doubt they will. We'll just give them some extra air here. So it's about 9 a.m. the next morning, and what I've decided to do is I'm gonna move this hive. So what I've done is I've installed a temporary hive stand over here, and this morning there's like scattered showers. It's about 8 degrees Celsius, so I'm gonna try and move them as fast as I can. Hopefully they don't get too upset. So let's get to it. So there is just a super tiny colony cluster left there, only about the size of a baseball right there. You can see it right there. So what I did was I took one of the emptier boxes off and left them 3 medium size, which is about the size of 2 deeps. So I just left them Maybe I should make them smaller than that. Actually, what I'm gonna do is that might still be too big. I'm gonna reduce them down to just two boxes there, so. Because those, like the two boxes there that I'm taking off have probably about 10 honey frames combined. And this one right here that the cluster's in is the full super of honey. And then down here there was some open cells there last time, and lots of pollen and nectar, so hopefully they stop getting robbed out and maybe they can make a comeback from that, but I kind of doubt it. They're kind of already really small, but we'll see. As a side note, when I remove this hive, there's a spider's nest under here. And there's like 3 that are living in there. There's a small one here. There's a one that's probably about half the size of my thumb, right in this corner. And then the one right over there is about the size of my thumb. It's pretty big. Let's see if we can get a closer look at it. Let's see. It's kind of down in there. Ooh. So we'll just leave this open, and I'm sure they'll relocate. There's lots of habitat for them under our giant rock here, so we'll just let them be. So I just quickly stapled on some hardware cloth here to make a little robber screen. And that one bee, you can see he's almost figured it out. Oh, he just figured it out. But so they'll be fine there, and this is all open mesh here too, so they have lots of ventilation. What I did do was I did duct tape the top entrance here. I've seen some bees there trying to get out, so I thought if I duct taped it, then it would keep it a little bit warmer in there. But thinking about the size of cluster that I seen in there, I'm kind of assuming that we'll have to combine them with a different colony for them to overwinter. But if it gets a little bit warmer out, I'll go in there and check out to see how big it is, and see if they actually still have a queen, if she wasn't killed when they had their big robbing frenzy. So this is the next day now, and this hive isn't really that active. I have seen a couple bees come and go, mostly caretaker bees, dragging some dead bee carcasses out, and some of them have gotten caught up here. But really it's only 15 degrees Celsius, so they really wouldn't have that much activity. And they also have lots of resources in the hive, so it's not like they need to go out and forage for more. But what I do have here is I got some comb, and this is some old drone comb. And what they did was they did have this filled up with honey. And this is what your normal empty comb looks like in a hive that they just emptied it out. You can see that they kind of just, it's all nice and clean and still all nice and round, like they took their time when they were taking the honey out. And then this is a comb that would have been robbed out, or that has been robbed out, because it actually came from this hive. But you can see how jagged it is, and how there's just a bunch of wax thrown everywhere. But so that's the difference between comb or honeycomb that's been robbed out. And this one too, you can see that they just poke the caps, not taking any care at doing it. And so that's a one sign that if you're wondering if your hive's getting robbed out, if you see, uneven wax and thrown around, then you know that they've been getting robbed out. But I think what I am going to do is I'm going to just quickly open them up here. There is some sun coming out now, so it should be okay, and just check and see if they actually do have a queen. Okay, let's finally find out if they still have a queen, or if it was killed during the robbing frenzy. So it shouldn't really be stuck on. Shouldn't be stuck on. only 2 bees on the top there. Looks like they're kind of over here, so let's just kind of peel this one out on this side first and then move them over that way. If the queen's on that side, we won't squish her for sure. Oh yeah, you can see some of that honey was robbed out there. It's all jagged caps. So let's just put this down here right there. Nothing. Well, honey and stuff. There's 2 bees there. There's some brood there that looks like it's probably dead. Some cap brood. Oh boy. And then here's this big cluster here. Let's see what's going on. Oh my. There's only like like 12 bees. 13. 21. It's like 21 bees. And the queen is not one of them. This side there's only like 4. Well, I think the queen might have been killed. Let's look in the bottom box there. Maybe she's down. Maybe she's down there, I doubt it, but that is very disappointing. Throw that in there. Just make sure. Oh yeah, I see 1 bee, 2 bees, 3 bees. Yeah, so there's only like 20 bees. This hive is dead. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, you can see a bunch of... Man. Pollen honey. Yeah, pollen honey. Well, that is unfortunate. So, let's see if we can see the queen in the dead bees. Yeah, no. Well, that's unfortunate. In the bottom of it is just a bunch of dead bees. And there's no sign of the dead queen in there. But there's only, 40 bees, so they're not going to survive. But, well, lesson learned, I guess. Around this time you can't have a longer inspection time. But it's weird because I had the Patricia hive open like 2 hours before that. Did the same inspection there. From the inspection video, you can see they were already having some issues, but it's unfortunate. But yeah, so I'll just knock the bees out over there in front of the hives, and I'm sure they'll take them in. But yeah. So thanks for watching, and maybe we'll see you on the next one.